Most Openclaw videos show you how to install it. I've been running 9 agents in production for the last 3 months on a low-cost VPS. Not a demo, not a weekend experiment. Actual systems running daily, generating outputs and supporting real workflows. And today, I'm going to show you the architecture behind it, because the difference between something that works for the weekend and something that works for months, it's not the model, it's the system. Here's why most OpenClaw setups fail. People try to build one agent with too many tools, so you end up with one system that tries to monitor things, write content, analyze data, and send messages, and it breaks. It loses context, it mixes tasks, it starts hallucinating. I tested this myself. One agent with 15 skills, it's completely unstable. Here's the simplest way to understand this. A skill is a tool. An agent is a worker who uses tools. The structure looks like this. You have OpenClaw, the platform, inside it agents, and each agent has a few skills. But what actually makes something an agent? It's not the tools, it's the context. Each of my agents runs on 4 core files. Identity defines the role, what this agent is responsible for. Soul defines how it communicates, tone, style, and rules. Heartbeat, and this one's critical, what the agent does proactively, not when you ask it, but when it decides to act. And memory, what it remembers over time. Without this, you don't have an agent, you have a prompt with tools. Now, important part. Agents are independent. There is no main agent controlling everything, but they share context. Every agent reads the same. Focus MD, which means current priorities, Strategy MD, which means overall direction, just like a real team. There's also a practical rule here. It comes from psychology, Miller's Law. Working memory handles about 7 plus minus 2 elements. For AI systems, the pattern is similar. One agent with too many tools breaks. Multiple narrow agents, each focused, work like a team. So here's the simplified version of my setup. Each agent has a clear role. Scout runs twice a day, 9 a.m. and 8 p.m. It monitors 14 accounts on X, scans for market signals, and stores everything in the shared knowledge base. Ops sends me a morning brief at 8 a.m. and an evening sync at 6:30. It's like having a personal chief of staff that never forgets. Mentor reviews my day at 9 p.m. and it's brutally honest. Last week it asked me why I changed priorities 4 times in 1 week. Chief orchestrates, reads Focus MD, decides what's urgent, and sets direction. So in reality, I run 9 agents. Some run on schedules, some run on demand, and they don't depend on my laptop. Each agent has its own folder. Same structure, different role. And everything they produce goes into shared outputs. Every morning I wake up to a brief that scouts and ops already wrote overnight. I didn't ask for it, it just happens. That's the difference between a chatbot and a system. Now memory. This is where most people overcomplicate things. Start with files, simple markdown files. Agents read them, agents write to them, no tools and no integrations, just files. I used only files for the first month. And I'm serious, it was enough. The agent remembered context, remembered decisions, remembered what I discussed a week ago. Not because it has a good memory, but because it reads these files on every startup. There's one critical rule though. One writer rule. One agent writes to a file, many can read. Zero conflicts and zero coordination problems. Break this rule and your agent will override each other's work. Only later you add a second layer, a shared knowledge base. But you don't need this at the beginning. Files first, then scale. This allows agents to retrieve information based on meaning, not exact words. Here's the data that surprised me. The Locomo benchmark tested plain markdown files against vector databases. Files scored 74% accuracy. Vector databases only 68.5%. AI models were trained on billions of text files. Reading text is their natural environment. Fighting that with specialized vector APIs is swimming against the current. So my recommendation, start with files, add a vector layer only when you actually need shared memory between multiple agents. For a single agent, files are more than enough. All of this runs on a simple low-cost VPS, around $5 a month. Why not a laptop? Because this runs 24/7. Schedule jobs, background processes, separation from your daily work. My Scout, for example, runs at 9 a.m. whether I'm awake or not. My Ops sends me a brief at 8. My mentor reviews my day at 9 p.m. None of this works on a laptop that sleeps. Is a VPS less secure? If you leave default passwords, yes, but basic hardening takes 30 minutes. SSH keys, firewall, and fail to ban. After that, you're fine for a personal setup. I've been running this for 3 months and 0 incidents. $5 a month, that's less than a good coffee. That's the whole infrastructure story. Just $5, 30 minutes of setup, and 3 months of uptime. 3 things that made a real difference. First, browser nodes. Scout uses web fetch for raw page content. Fast and cheap, but it breaks on JavaScript heavy pages. When you need something behind the login, manage browser. Different tools, different jobs. Second, heartbeat file. My agents wake up every 30 minutes on their own. They check if cron jobs are still alive, write status updates, promote learnings to long-term memory. That's where the real leverage is. Agents that act without being asked. Third, dedicated environments. Early on, I connected agents to my personal accounts. Bad idea. Now every agent has its own email, its own channels. Your personal inbox on day one, would you? If you're building with AI agents, focus less on prompts and more on systems, because that's what actually scales. If you want to build something like this properly, there's a link below. Otherwise, subscribe. I'll keep breaking this down.